Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's Not That Deep, Bro. And we're back. Episode 29 of It's Not That Deep, Bro. What are you guys saying? How's your day been? You can't answer that, but still, I'm here to listen.
I apologise to any listeners with a weak heart or any listeners that are easily scared. Jesus Christ, man. We're going to end up with casualties.
Look. Everyone knows by now my intro. If you don't know, I'm sorry. If you do know, good luck.
It is episode 29 indeed. How you feeling, Martin?
Over the moon.
You are pretty jazzed up today.
I am. Number one soul guy here.
Soul guy, Jesus Christ. It's getting me excited, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah.
My attitude.
It's setting me up. Yeah, it's setting me up.
That's what I like to hear. Now hit the new... For everyone that's listening, we have got a new bit of tech called the Randy Master 4000. Not 3,000, 4,000.
It's such a simple little script, and we've bigged it up to be this huge machine. It's just a very small bit of code.
It's just great.
But it is fantastic, and it lets us randomly select a film in a non-biased manner. So, Martin, would you do me the pleasure of pressing the Randy Master at the count of 5,
Certainly,
4, 3, 2, 1. And the film that we are watching on It's Not That Deep, Bro, episode 29 is Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Wow, we were literally just talking about this film.
I knew there were good vibes going on today, Martin. I knew it.
Yes, okay. We got it. What year is it again?
1994, year of my birth. Year of your birth too.
Yep. 1994.
It's all lined up. The stars are aligned today. Get
That's
yourself that easy chair, a nice hot beverage, and strap in for Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
We will. It's not that deep, bro. Welcome again. It's not that deep. We're back from watching the film.
That's very understated compared to your initial.
Of course, that's the whole point. Is that at the start there's that big hype up to the movie, and then when we get to the movie, that's juicy information comes in.
Ed Wood.
So we have to be very aggressive at the start, and then slow down.
Whatever you say, man. What did you think of Ed Wood?
I had a lot of questions at the start, but I think
You left satisfied.
yeah. So at the end, they got answered.
Well, I mean, I think a good film always does that. If a film can pike a load of questions at the beginning, get you thinking, press the blender in your brain and get all these questions going, and then come through and follow through with the answers by the end.
Oh, depending on what film, though. If it's like...
Some films don't do that. If that's what I'm saying. If they don't follow up on the questions that they rise, then...
There needs to be a second film.
Yeah, to me, that's like an unsuccessful endeavor. Or unless you're planning on doing more.
Yeah.
So, oh, good. Well,
but I did enjoy it. I sort of thought Ed Wood was an odd character, really. So then I had this question in my head: what happened to Ed Wood? Because based on a true story. Guy Ed Wood.
Mm.
But nonetheless, the question that I had in my brain was answered at the end. So it did everything I wanted it to do.
It did everything you wanted it to do. Yeah. I think the movie can be summarized into there's two important scenes in my head.
Right, okay.
One of them is Ed Wood's first wife when she has her breakdown.
Right.
I don't know if they're even wives or if they're just boyfriend and girlfriend, but she says,
I think it's just boyfriend and girlfriend.
yeah, she says something to the effect of, "You people are all wasting your time making this. You people are wasting your time making shit. These movies are terrible."
Yeah.
That's basically what she says. And before she has that breakdown, she also walks in and just completely makes an assumption about the whole situation. She's like, "I see the normal cast of drug addicts and freaks are here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a pretty, it's from her point of view, but it's a pretty honest view of like what is actually going on. There's making films and there's making films sort of thing. They all stem from ideas, but how that gets executed can cover such a wide. It can look making a movie can look many different ways.
So what's the second scene? Is that the second scene you were talking about?
So no, that'd be the first situation, and I think that's a pretty good comment on how anyone who wasn't in Ed Wood's instant circle must have viewed the whole situation.
Yeah, like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, from audiences, and you saw at the end, Ed Wood is largely regarded as one of the worst film directors ever.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a statement to label someone with, you know? Like,
I mean, yeah, like
worst
the
director
worst
ever, yeah.
Like he's dead now. You're telling me that nobody can surpass. Well, not like everyone should or should be going for that title, because not really the best place you want to be in it, especially
well,
if
it's
you want to be
conjecture.
Yeah.
Conjecture, in my opinion.
So, like,
It's an
but
opinion.
he's dead anyway. So, like, is that saying like there's never gonna be anybody worse than him?
No,
That's
and
that's a big statement.
obviously this film was made in 94. So
Yeah.
it's kind of commenting on the opinions of the 70s and the 80s. Because we saw at the end of the film that a lot of his crew that he'd worked with, they're all dead by like 1985, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a pre-internet opinion. You know, it's a the idea of Ed Wood being this terrible director. But
I want to know something still.
okay.
The one of the characters, Bunny, Breckinridge. I can't remember his last name.
Beckenridge.
Yeah, Beckenridge.
Bunny Beckenridge, I think it is.
So long name.
With the sex change.
Yeah.
Played by Bill Murray.
Yeah, but obviously this film came out in 94. By the time this film was made, he was still alive. What happened to him? Is he still alive now?
Well, I mean,
let's find out.
That is never too far away. Just let me find my phone.
Let's see.
Bunny Beckenridge. Bunny.
Also,
yeah, keep these fine people entertained while I find this information.
Yeah. The actress in it played their roles very, very well.
He died 2 years after the film came out, 1996, at the age of 93.
How old was he? 70.
I just said 93.
93?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So he survived the war.
Yeah, and he couldn't.
Both of them.
He was too ill to promote this film. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, when it came out, he was too ill.
So what happened? Oh, so obviously that's when.
And then he died subsequently.
2 years,
so so there you go. That's the fate of Bunny Beckenridge. My second scene that I think is pretty important is throughout the film, it makes sense if Ed Wood is the worst director of the era, he's going to get compared to the best director considered of the era, and that would be Orson Welles. I don't know what you know about Orson Welles.
No, nothing.
Okay, so you know War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
That idea. That was written by a man called H.G. Wells. Orson Welles read War of the Worlds over the radio, and it was his version of reading it that made it famous. Everyone thought it was a real alien invasion because his reading of it was so convincing.
Wow.
And it caused mass panic in America when Orson Welles read War of the Worlds.
Wow.
Which gave him a footing to be a film director. And at the young age of 26, he made a film called Citizen Kane, which I'm sure you've heard of that.
I haven't.
You've not heard of Citizen Kane?
No.
It's widely renowned as one of the best films ever made. I have not seen it myself.
Neither have I.
It's on the list.
Okay.
So we will deal with Citizen Kane. But in a more modern reference to Orson Welles, have you seen Pinky and the Brain?
Yeah, of course I have.
The Brain is based on Orson Welles. Did you recognize the voice in the film?
No.
It's not the exact voice. Orson Welles didn't voice the Brain.
I was gonna say,
but I'm sure if you went back and watched that scene and thought about the Brain, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, I see."
Okay.
And he's basically known for having that voice. I'm not going to try and do an Orson Welles because I can't do it. But
it's fair enough.
Yeah, he's a known character for his voice and the way he's very no bullshit, Mr. Welles.
Straight up.
So when we get quite a cool scene, I think, with Ed Wood meeting Orson Welles.
Yeah, I was going to say that scene as well, yeah.
So Ed obviously idolizes Orson Welles, like he's mentioned numerous times throughout the film.
Yeah.
As he's mentioned as a character that Ed is... Other people mention Orson Welles to Ed to point out, this is what you're not, Ed. It's always like the comparison.
Yeah.
This wouldn't happen on an Orson Welles film, that sort of thing. But then to Ed sees Orson as an aspirational figure.
Yeah.
Someone he looks up to.
Not competition.
Not competition.
No.
He appreciates him as an artist. So when they finally get to meet, it's pretty interesting because what you see is mutual respect. They both respect one another, regardless of output. You see acknowledgement. Orson Welles is aware of Ed's work. He says he uses his name, doesn't he, at one point? Ed doesn't introduce himself as Ed Wood, I don't think, but Orson Welles knows who he is.
He does introduce.
Does he introduce himself fully as Ed Wood, the film director?
No, he just says, "Oh, I'm Ed Wood." With D Jr.
I'm pretty sure, well, somewhere in that scene you will find an acknowledgement of Orson Welles acknowledging that he knows who Ed Wood is and his body of work. That was my point. And I
think the quote that he says is more important than the acknowledgement. Do you know what I mean?
But the fact that Orson knows, Ed obviously knows who Orson is, but Orson knows who Ed is. And gives him advice at the end of their meeting. He says, never compromise on a vision, Ed. So Orson Welles being Orson Welles doesn't need to treat Ed Wood like that.
No, of course not, no.
But there's a mutual respect between the two of them. And in the public's perception, the worst film director ever and the best film director ever
coming together, wouldn't
even be in the same room.
No.
They're a class above. Orson Welles is a proper artist. He would never lower himself to Ed Wood's. These people are wasting their time making shit.
Yeah,
as she says.
But it also depends on like the person who's the best. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously in the film, Welles. Like, I feel like because it's a film about Ed Wood and Ed Wood idolizes Orson, he won't put something out there that's he won't put something out there that's like going against Orson.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But Orson could easily put something out there disrespecting Ed.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
repercussions of that happening for Orson Welles, but still, yeah, he could have told him to fuck off, like when he walked over to the table,
But
sort of thing.
again, the guy doesn't look like he's that type of guy.
No, they spoke about film making like they were equal.
Mm-hmm.
And for that minute, when they were both sat at the table, the worst director ever and the best director ever were on an equal platform, complaining about the same issues and having a conversation as me and you are now.
To then go and be the worst director ever, like,
Well,
as soon as you get, because obviously at the time he's not thinking he's the worst director ever.
No.
He's just like, okay, I'm not gonna compromise on my visions, and then because of the person that I idolize the most has told me never to, which is the best director. To then go on to be the worst director ever seems a little bit like
to get named that, but it
gets you hit.
It's
like,
almost a comment
hits you.
on these statements, like the worst director ever. What does that mean, man? Like, that's an opinion.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So the whole film really is commenting on, you know, just because that Ed Wood has been deemed the worst director ever, does that make his story and his efforts worthless?
No, of course not.
Not at all. What
No.
we learned from this tale is that despite Ed Wood's, I've never seen an Ed Wood film.
Oh yeah, that was another question.
We
Like
should-
all of these films, are they actually?
They're all real, I'm sure.
They're all real.
Yeah, I believe
They're all
so.
made.
I saw when I looked up Breckenridge, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, independently made, 1959.
Wow, we should
Science
watch one of
fiction.
these.
I'll definitely put these on the list.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bela Lugosi. Yeah, the whole thing's completely real.
Amazing.
So,
Because all of these films, you get to see them being made, but then not even like a little bit of the film is played until the last film that he.
and he's not acknowledged until that last film.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the recognition. But then it's almost like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if Plan 9 from Outer Space is actually a better film than his other output, or if it's just because it was the perfect storm of it. He could market it as Bela Lugosi's last ever film. So that, you notice whenever Ed Wood is pitching a film, it's rarely about, like, not to say that he or Johnny Depp's portrayal of Ed Wood anyway, explicitly doesn't care about what the actual content of the film, but when he's pitching the film to a financer, he's rarely talking about like the plot of the film. He's talking about like ways to sell it.
Yeah.
And like this will be profitable for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like an interesting point that I noticed, that it's a battle for him actually just to get the film into production.
Yeah.
Let alone make the quality of the film good. You know what I mean? Like, it must be so emotionally exhausting just doing the dance that you have to do to get people to fund your movie without proper studio backing, that when it actually comes, you're like, oh, I managed to get it, so, I feel like this is happening.
I feel like he's doing it to get it in the door, so then he doesn't have a he doesn't have to change the film
At all.
because like as soon as you tell them the plot, they're all gonna be like, this is horseshit.
But as
let's change it like this, do this and this. But then as you see, he just goes mental.
as Orson Welles says,
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, which is his magnum opus and regarded as one of the best films ever, he says that that's the only film that I didn't let the producers get a cut on.
That wasn't Citizen Kane.
That's what he says. I will happily go back and watch that scene again, because they're obviously talking about Citizen Kane because it's the best film Orson Welles ever made, and that's what they're talking about.
But he said that they made the box office. It was one of the worst box office. That's what he says in the film, but it didn't matter because he had no one.
I think we're talking about different bits. I'm talking about the bit where Ed Wood says to Orson Welles, and I hate when producers, he says they always try and bring their friends on when they're not right for the part. I've even had a producer try and edit one of my films once, and Orson Welles says, I hate it when they do that. The only film that didn't happen on was Citizen, or he just says Kane, but he refers to it as Kane, but he's talking about Citizen Kane. So let's do it right now. Martin's calling me. Like
I am calling
Martin's
it.
calling it, and I'm confident on this one.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm like more than sure, because I know the context of the conversation, and I know exactly why they're talking about what they're talking about. And
there it is. Wow, this is live.
Speakers bad up, people.
This is live.
Up. Boom. Not the box office, the studio hated it. They didn't get to touch a frame.
Wow.
Visions are worth fighting for.
I was wrong.
Why spend your life making other people's dreams?
I apologize. But
so my point was originally that message works for either of the filmmakers, and it shows a mutual respect from Orson Welles, and that titles such as worst or best filmmaker mean very little to the people that actually make the films.
Is Orson Welles dead?
Orson Welles died. I want to say Orson Welles died in 2001. That's going to be
9/11.
My
Same
guess.
year.
I know he lived. I like Orson Welles' character. There's some decent interviews with him on YouTube. He's very blunt about movie making and the industry. Oh shit, I'm well off. 1985.
1985.
Yeah, 1985.
How old was he?
He was 70. He got real big at the end of his career. There's a the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
They'd do roasts. Like a roast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also, Mr. Potato Head from the Toy Story films. Yeah. The guy who voices him is called Don Rickles, and he is known as the original roast master. And the Rat Pack, Don Rickles, and for Ronald Reagan, the American president, he was an actor before he was president.
Yeah.
So they'd all like hang out and do these roasts, and Don Rickles would be making fun of Ronald for trying to be a politician, and making fun of Frank Sinatra for being in the mafia, and calling Dean a drunk alcoholic. But Orson Welles is there, and they all make fun of him for being like a young up and coming star, and now he's the size of a blimp. There's some pretty
Wow.
It's pretty funny. But I think those two scenes show what this whole film's about. You've got this public perception of Ed Wood, worst director ever. But then that once you're behind the camera, he's just a guy. And then if I were to pick a third moment in this film that ties all of it together, Ed Wood at the beginning of the film to his first partner is complaining about the hurdles that he's up against, money, trying to get films made.
Yeah.
And he says to her, I don't get it. I'm just a guy trying to make the things that I like.
Yeah.
And that's it, right there.
But then she says, maybe you should make the money yourself. Raise the money yourself.
Yeah. She's not like an inherently bad person, that first partner. Like, she does try.
But it's not that. I feel like the only reason that has happened, they weren't together, is because of him wearing women's clothes.
You think that was the entirety of it?
Yeah, she went crazy. It's just the fact that it was like that he was wearing like women's clothes. I feel like if he didn't reveal that, which wouldn't be true to himself.
Well, he wouldn't have been able to make that film that led to him meeting all those people.
That's it. Yeah.
So
like,
it's
if he wasn't true to himself, obviously, it would have like been worse for him down the line with their relationship. Sentiment.
I thought she went absolutely. Oh my god! It's Voss. Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought she went absolutely crazy. Obviously, Edward is wrong because he thinks that that other actress is going to finance the film, but she never actually said that.
No, she
So-
never said it.
But the way that his girlfriend responds in that situation is crazy, in my opinion. She's like throwing shit around the room just because she's not cast as the main star of the film. But if that woman was financing the film, she shouldn't have gone that crazy. But
No.
the woman wasn't financing it.
yeah,
So,
but
so
it
it,
wasn't,
it
yeah.
makes it justified. But
Yeah.
the initial reaction was a bit much. And then at the end, it said that she ended up working on, she wrote songs for Elvis.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you could see that her bar for quality was higher than the entire Edward situation.
Yeah,
like-
obviously, 100%.
There was a certain level of professionalism that she didn't want to let herself sink
Too.
to. And she
And
couldn't.
I feel like if they stayed together, like if she helped him with more decisions, like maybe he would have done a lot better.
Commercially, possibly. And then, we've not even commented on the whole, like, what's his first name? Bella Lugosi thing.
Yeah.
Obviously.
What? The drugs bit.
Well, the drugs bit, but just the whole idea that Edward has, like, objectively, Edward's doing everything correctly. Like, he's like an artistic, inspirational figure. He's funding his own films. He's finding old movie stars, like, that were genuine, like, stars at one point. A lot of what he does, and that's probably why, like, Orson Welles gives him the time of day. Because it's not like he ain't trying.
No, of course not.
Like, the whole, it's pretty admirable. Like, the effort that he puts into it and the way that he makes things happen.
I feel like he would have been more relevant now.
Today, yeah, with
Yeah,
like
today.
the indie idea and
Yeah.
like
'Cause
Kickstarters and stuff like
Obviously, like he can just CGI most of this.
that. Mm.
Doesn't need that like massive octopus, and for it to have like a roller to move
The motor, yeah.
the
and
motor
the special
to-
effects and stuff.
Yeah,
Well, it's like the worst director thing. Dan and Ellis, our good friends in the band and Heart Source, keep telling us to watch Tommy Wiseau's The Room, which is
yeah.
widely, probably post Edward, that came out, 20 years after this film was made, nearly.
When did it come out?
The Room came out in like 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. So that would have taken Edward's place, really, as like Tommy Wiseau has kind of become the new Edward.
Mm-hmm.
And he again, it's the same situation. He filmed it all himself, and he funded it all himself, made the money to.
Is it supposed to be a bad film then?
No. It's meant to be like his life's work.
Right.
Fucking did an Edward. Like, did everything he could to get this film made.
Mm-hmm.
It's just terrible.
So it's a terrible film
Well,
then. Like
I've not seen it. I'm not going to comment on it.
But like, has it been like? Have people said it's a terrible film?
Yeah.
What I meant.
But people that's what, in my eyes, this whole film is about, is disputing that, pinning that label on someone.
Does that ever, seeing this film, does it ever make you think about your own films that
Wait.
you would like to make? Like
Well, it makes me think about
the
putting out.
hardships.
Well, it
that-
makes me think about putting out content in general, and I guess the moral of this movie would be like, it doesn't matter if you're fucking Edward or Orson Welles, just do what you want to fucking do.
Mhm.
And I think that as an artistic person is the best thing, the best mindset you can have with it. And it sounds like cliche and stereotype, and I'm bad at doing it, but like, it's a goal. Fuck what other people say, like, genuinely.
Mhm.
But then don't do things in spite of other people. Have our genuine original ideas and just see them through. And that's all you can do. Like, play with the deck of cards that you're given. Don't let others influence you, and don't do things for other people. Like, that sounds very selfish, but like, I mean, artistically,
Don't do things for other
don't
people.
do things for other people. In your life, like,
Yeah.
obviously do things like, open doors for people. Be nice. Like, don't be a dick. That's another rule. But when it comes to artistic stuff, it's all about integrity to the idea, making something out of nothing, how it came to you. And it's not easy to do, but that is my mantra moving forward creatively. I'd just want to bring ideas to fruition. We'll see what other people say about them. Hard enough getting them made.
I mean, I'm ready for the criticisms.
Well, it may, even seeing Edward's process, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, this film made me excited about like filmmaking.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, 100%. I want it to be in like just in the set how it all looks.
And
constantly.
we've recently watched Living in Oblivion with Steve Buscemi just for pleasure, and it's a very similar vibe of like the independent film, and so I'm sure, well, you know, Martin, that I've got ideas that are in the works, and some of the friends that are listening will know that I've got ideas, but it's just a matter of getting it into that script format. And because at the end of the day, to execute, as you see through this film, to execute something like this, it requires other people's time.
Yeah.
And you're
and a lot and a lot of patience.
You're relying on other people. So
a lot of patience.
If I'm putting myself in that situation, for myself not to have a fucking breakdown, knowing who I know who I am, so I need to like double check everything to make sure it runs smoothly.
Or quadruple check everything.
That's what I mean, man. I know who I am, so I know my own foibles and my own,
foibles. Nice.
Yeah, my own down fucking, the things that I'm bad at. So I need to compensate. If I'm using other people's time, I want to have scripts done. I want to have and all of that. So
not just like
talking about ideas. And
yeah,
shit. Yeah, 100%. So I'm not gonna.
I mean,
run my trap about it until
Ed Wood from the film looked like he could have a million ideas.
Definitely.
Like the way that he was like, oh, I've wrote a script and write me a script in 3 days, and within 3 days he's already like, within a day he's already got a script.
I love that shit
I mean?
of like, but
that's so Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like it's just
that's necessity of show business. Like back then, certain opportunities weren't available like they are now. You couldn't really put something together on your own. You needed backing of some sort, and that involves adhering to other people's deadlines.
Yeah,
and being like, we need this by this, and those deadlines are possibly really important to impose on creative people because most artists find it very difficult to say when something is done.
Yeah, especially in the amount of time that the people in the film gave Ed Wood. Like, wow. I feel like if he had a little bit more time,
he could flesh out some of his ideas a little
and
bit.
more money, he could have done a lot better. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, because I mean, he
did. Obviously, he was looking for that one film that could like skyrocket his way into the halls of fame. You know what I mean? So like, he wasn't getting that. He was making film after film, and people are like, this is the worst. I hate this film, and so much negativity.
Like
but then there was no way for him to like get off the ground because everyone's like, no, bad.
Glenn or Glenda would have done great today.
I mean, yeah.
You see what like it would.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he would have.
Netflix original, Glenn or Glenda.
He would have done great right now, Glenn or Glenda.
And obviously, like a project like Glenn or Glenda was actually really emotionally difficult for him. Like he put honesty into that, and he put himself on the line. So that's why I would possibly say that this is a great film because it takes a preconception, Ed Wood being the worst director ever, and it kind of like makes it difficult for you to come out the other end of this film with that same sort of opinion, or even it makes you question the word worst, because does that make him bad? Like, okay, his output's bad, but he's not a bad person.
No.
And his efforts weren't for nothing.
Of course not. No.
And seeing his whole tale on film gives you, you know, a story with an end moral. You know, it's not worthless. So I don't know. Maybe these titles of worst and best director, I don't think they.
But it's like you said,
they do
it's
the
just,
job.
It's just an opinion.
It is. And when those opinions get picked up by a lot of people all at once, it becomes almost fact.
Yeah, but
it's not fact.
Not fact. No,
No.
it's just an opinion. Because obviously, there's gonna be. I bet there's people out there that like
Ed
Wood
Wood.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that Ed Wood has done. Yeah, 100%. Like they wouldn't have gone to watch it if they didn't enjoy it.
It's
You know
a
what I
big
mean? Like,
part of why I.
or maybe like they've gone to watch it to see if they'll enjoy it, but then they do. But obviously, people are
People
like,
like what-
no.
People like what they like, and
Yeah.
some people will. There will be diehard Ed Wood fans out there, and it's a big reason why I started this podcast, because there's all sorts of different preconceptions regarding all these films. You know, I'll say when we go and watch a film, or if you mention a film to me, I'll know what the general consensus is. That doesn't affect my opinion on it, but
No, of course not. No.
it's interesting to know what the zeitgeist is, like the general consensus, whatever that fucking means.
I don't think when it comes to films, I don't think they're like always the best or the worst. I just think some of them are weird.
How did it make me
Some
feel?
some of them are weird. Some of them are like, oh, okay, this is action adventure. Some of them are like just not what you expected, but they're not like bad films.
I really
Or not
struggle
like the best films.
to talk
Just films.
in terms of best and worst and top 5 and worst 5, top 10, all of that. Who could it be? We've got a...
And on that note,
Yeah.
I feel like
we're probably...
we're at an impasse now.
We've probably spoke about what everything we can about Ed Wood, but a great moral. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a story like Mr.
Some
Ed
good
Wood
messages.
did not lead a worthless life.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly an interesting tale, and interesting to see Tim Burton doing something based in reality.
Yeah, compared to like
Nightmare Before Christmas, Alice in Wonderland, The Corpse Bride,
Edward
Frankenweenie,
Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, all that stuff. To see him cover like an actual factual event was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it more than possibly other Tim Burton films. I like the black and white style because it completely tied in with like the 1950s Sunset Boulevard,
Yeah,
Hollywood
which
vibe.
I'm like, we've talked about this before, but like, this is probably the second film we've watched.
Eraserhead.
We've watched in black and white. Because obviously I've been like, some films that we've watched before have been in black and white at the start, but then color. So,
But
it was sort of like a weird.
It's just a nod to the era that the film was portraying. And
Yeah.
there was a great bit of dialogue, actually, before we end it. I'm sure you remember where an actress was holding up 2 dresses, and she went up to Edward and said, which one of these dresses do you like better, the red or the green? And Edward's kind of like, it's that girl that thinks is going to finance the movie, and he's kind of sweet on her. So, like, he kind of asks the cameraman. He's like, oh, I don't want to answer this question, which dress looks better on her, so I'll divert it to this cameraman. And the cameraman's like, I don't know.
I'm colorblind.
I'm colorblind. The light grey one. Which is it's a break of the fourth wall, like, you know, nodding to you that it's black and white and this is the era that we're in. Life was like that back then. That's how it's using that as a device. And we also get, you know, the film is not completely devoid of Tim Burton's regular creepy vibe. Like the intro was very, it used scenes that we would see later in the film, but it was very, it went in on the fairy tale creepy elements.
Yeah.
A lot more, which that's what you get from a normal Tim Burton film, that intro.
We got it.
The whole film.
So, any ending thoughts?
Stay true to your ideas. That's not the exact quote from Orson Welles. It's like,
stay true to your dreams.
Don't spend your life making other people's dreams. And there's no harm in committing to your vision or something like that. But that would be the takeaway from today, I would say. Forget the others. Stay true to your ideas.
That sounds great.
And add MIPLTD on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Hit the Mystery School up on Reddit. That's where you're going to find out what me and Martin have going on. And we have a lot more in store than just this podcast and some social media posts. Let me assure you, there's music to come. There's
all coming.
Works of a visual medium coming to you. There's going to be all sorts coming to you this summer.
That is what I like to hear, bro. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching. What?
Carry on. I'm just dropping salt on top of this meal you're preparing.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for watching. You know where to catch us. He's already stated everything that I need to state. We'll see you at the next film. Peace out.
It's all the bees. It's all the bees. Blossom, Beluga, Bertram, Basement, Baseball, Battery, Bells. Better believe the bees, sweet honey melodies, please. Better believe the bees, sweet honey and melodies, please. Melodies, melodies, melodies. 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 It's the bee's knees. Better leave the bees. Sweet honey and melodies, please. Coming out the hive. Better leave the bees. Sweet honey and melodies, please. It's enter to my ears. Better leave the bees. Sweet honey and melodies, please. Better leave the bees. Sweet honey and melodies, please. Picking up the pollen that makes you sneeze. Breastfeed, butter, Budlight, baseline, breakdown, blossom, bottle, big, bogra, balloon, Rogan, British, bastards, bitch, Rogan, ball, boogie on, beer man, berry, bellyache, beer man, bellyache, bellyache, beer, battle, bellyache, blog, biscuit, break, breastfeed, butter, Budlight, baseline, breakdown, blossom, bottle, big, bogra, balloon, Rogan, British.